So today what you're going to need to make your sugar plum tiara is some metallic silver beads, some pale pink beads, a couple of decorative strands, which I got at Hobby Lobby, some small pearls, and some small crystals. Then I've got some medium-sized pink beads, and then a couple of crystals. I've got the white and the pink. You'll also need a wire cutter, a needle nose plier, and then you're going to need a 20 gauge silver wire. And then once it's completed, you'll need a hot glue gun just to glue down some of the sharp pieces. I tend to want to design the top part of the tiara ahead of time so that I save the special beads for the top of the tiara. So these are going to be the little spokes that fan out on the top. So I'm going to set those aside and get started on the base. So now I'm just going to make a little pattern all the way across, and then I'm going to make it into the base of the crown. Yeah, I usually just start with a pattern and then recreate the pattern all the way down. So I'm doing pearl, 2 pink, 2 silver, pearl, 2 pink, 2 silver. But you can do any combination of beads. But for the base, I usually do very simple. I don't put too many stones because you won't see these stones because it's going to sit on the head. And you want to just have a very simple pattern that can be pinned into with bobby pins when it's finished. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, so now I have finished beading the base, and I'm just going to attach it on the end. And I like to use the pliers to tighten it. And you just kind of twist that, and then I bend it, and you're going to cut the excess off. And I just flatten the wire. Underneath without breaking the beads. And so you're going to make what'll look kind of like a headband shape. This is going to be the base of your tiara. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 loops on the back of the tiara. We're going to do the 3 loops on top, and I'm going to use 1 piece of wire to make 2, and then I'm going to do a 3rd one in the center. So I would say you want to cut that at about 14 inches. So you want to try to center it. And it looks to be here. You want to add some crystals to this one now that it's going to be up a little higher. You can do any pattern you want, but you do want to add some of the crystals on there so you can see them. I'm going to use the small crystals and do a little pattern with that. But you can do any pattern. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing. You can do whatever you want. So for the first loop, you want to make sure you have 2 beads at the top because you're going to put another wire right through there, and you want it to be even. So that's really the only thing you want to make sure you have in that grouping. You've got your base and one of your loops on the back here. Then you do the other loop here. So you're just bending the wire And then I use the needle nose pliers to tighten it. And wrap it around there. Okay, and then you're just going to follow the same pattern on the other side. We finished the one loop, and I'm going to tie the other loop. So you want to make sure, I like the pearls because you can count how many pearls. So I've got 5 pearls in between, and I have 5 pearls in between so that you line it up. I'm going to go in between the beads, and then you're going to wrap the wire around a minimum of 3 times so that it's really tight. You don't want the beads to come out. Once that's wrapped around, you're ready to go onto your 3rd loop. Now we're going to put the 3rd loop on top, and you're going to want to make that loop a little bit higher than the first 2. So we're going to start here, and we're going to go all the way to here. So we've got another piece of wire, roughly 12 inches in length. That should be sufficient. You want a little extra on the ends to be able to wrap it around. Okay, so you're going to wrap it around here. And again, you want to do at least 2 or 3 times around so that it doesn't come loose. And then you start your beading, and then it's going to loop on the other side. Okay, so I'm starting this loop, but I'm going to attach it to the top loop once through, just for a little extra stability. And then it's going to loop on the other side. Okay, so we've got our 3rd loop, and then again you're going to attach it to the 2nd loop here that you did just once around so that it's tight, and then you're going to continue your beading. Okay, so now you're going to attach that onto your base, and you're going to wrap that 1 time around. Actually, let's wrap it around twice because we're going to cut that excess wire off with your wire cutters, and then use your needle nose to just pull it tight. Fold it under. Okay. Starting to come along. Okay, so now we've got your base and your 3 loops. The 3rd section is now going to make, you're going to make a V, and I just cut a 30 or a 20-inch wire that's going to make the V on the front of the tiara. So we're going to start attaching the wire at the back of the base, and again you're going to wrap it around 3 times. Okay, so now do your beading, continue beading. Okay, so now we've got to attach the V onto the front of the base, and you're just going to wrap that around just 1 time, and then continue your beading, and you're starting to make part of the V. Okay, I'm starting to introduce a little more of the burgundy color in there. We don't want to use too much of that on the base because you're not going to see the base, but you want to make sure to have that on the parts that are visible. Okay, for the point, you want to choose a bead that is going to kind of stand out a little bit. So I'm going to choose to use one of these flat beads because it'll lay better on the head. And that's going to be your point. That would probably be roughly 2.5 inches in front. And then you're going to wrap this wire around that bead, and then you'll continue the other side of the bead, the other side of the V. Now we're going to attach the other end. I've beaded that V, and we're going to attach it to the front of your base. So continue beading, and then you're going to attach it to the back of the base after that. Okay, so attach your centerpiece here at the end of the V to the back of the base now. And then you will trim off the excess wire. And this one you want to wrap a couple of times, and you may even want to, you don't knot it, but you're just going to wrap it around several times so it doesn't come loose. And then trim off the excess. And then you can use this to tighten it. Okay, so that's where it can get sharp, these loose pieces. I usually trim them off and then put the hot glue on that so that it's not hard on the head. So now it's starting to shape up like a tiara, and this goes on the front. This is the base of your hairline, and then you've got your base and your 3 loops. I'm going to cut a wire roughly 14 inches in length. This is the 4th section that's going to go on the back of the tiara, and this is the piece that's it's going to loop all the way here, and that's really going to be where you're going to pin your hairpins in so it stays on. So attach it to the back of the base. You want this one to be really secure because you're going to pin into this one with your bobby pins. Okay, so this loop is going to go just like that on the back, so when it sits on the head you have somewhere to put your bobby pins in. Okay, we're going to attach the back portion on the other side. That's the back of the base, and you're going to just wrap it around a couple of times, pull it really tight and secure. Since this one's going to be used more than the rest of the tiara, I like to wrap it a few extra times so that it's really secure. You don't want it to come unattached or detached. Cut off the excess, and then you have the back portion, and this wire is good because you can just shape it. It's going to go sit on the head just like that, and then you've got your back piece. I didn't put any crystals on the back piece because you're going to be putting bobby pins in there and they'll get broken. So we are going to add the second smaller V, and so we're going to attach it to the back of the base, and it doesn't really matter where you attach it, but you want to kind of have about an inch space in between the front one. So attach that pretty tightly, and then you can do whatever decoration you want. You'll make the V, and then you'll go back up on the other side. Okay, so you're going to now attach that to the front of the base and just wrap it around. I'm just doing it once around, and then continue with your beading. Okay, so we've got the second stone, and you're just going to fold that under itself and then around the top, just to tighten that. And you want to try to keep the wire underneath. Okay, and then you'll just finish the other side the same way. You want to try to follow the same pattern on the other side. Okay, so now we are going to attach it to the other side, the front of the base. Wrap it around once. And then you're going to continue this beading pattern. Okay, and then you attach it to the back of the base. And this one you want to wrap around more than a couple of times so that it's really tight, so it doesn't come undone. Okay, and then you're going to just trim off the end. And that is step 5. We're going to cut 5 pieces of the 20 gauge wire that you've been using in 10-inch pieces, because you're going to have your 5 spokes that are going to go at the top out. And so I've made my own pattern of the more decorative beads that I want with a little more color and interest. And I usually try to not have too many beads, but 4 is usually sufficient. And you want to do a smaller one on the top so it really reflects. So you're going to take 5 of these and you're going to string each one of those up. So I like to set this up ahead of time because it just helps you with how it's going to look. Okay, so I'm going to first start with the center one, and I'm going to attach it right in the middle of those 2 pearls at the bottom of the base, the back of the base. And you may have to put a couple of fillers in there, but we'll see. I might do that. A couple of pearls just to make an interesting pattern, and then you're going to do that one. And then I'm not sure if this pink one's going to fit, but we'll try it. Might be a little too big. Yeah, we'll put a filler there. We'll put another pearl just to make room. And you can use whatever beads you want. You just want something to fit in there. And then you attach that to the top of the loop. And then you can put your big ones at the top of that. Oop. Got one. Okay, so you've got your spokes. Okay, then you're going to fold that down, and I'm going to wrap it around that big stone for extra security. I'm going to wrap it around all of those so that it's a little bit tighter and it's going to stay vertical. And you just cut the excess off at the back. And that's one of your 5 spokes. Okay, so the next one I'm going to put here. And you want to attach it at the bottom first. Okay, and then that's going to go right there. So we're going to start with this one. And again, you need to put a pearl or 2 in there to fit that. So we're going to do that. Okay, so then you wrap that around. And you've got almost a completed second spoke, and then you've got one, 3. Okay, and then you have all this extra, and you're going to wrap it around the bottom and around the middle and the top so that it's very secure. I'm going to wrap it around twice there. Okay, so cut that off, and then you just want to shape it so that it's vertical and put all the wire behind. And that's second one. Okay, and then now let's do the third. This is probably the most difficult part because you have to secure it. So you're going to pull it down, wrap it around the bottom, the second one and the third one. And if you break a bead, it's okay, you just get another one, because sometimes they get, if you go too tight, it can shatter one of those glass beads. That's coming along. We just have 2 more, so we're going to do them here and here. Cut another 10-inch, roughly. You want to have extra. Straighten it out. Okay, so you want to kind of eyeball this. You want it to be pretty close to the same space, so I'm going to do that roughly about here. Okay, so if you have excess, just trim it off. Try to do the same pattern with the pearl. Okay. Wrap it around the top of the loop. Pull it tight. So just continue beading. You still want them to be the same height, so don't go too much bigger. Okay, so then you've got to wrap that wire around the bottom, the second one, and the third. And then you just got one more and you're complete. Okay, so that is your completed crown. So underneath, you're gonna just glue anything that you feel that is sharp, and then that will be smooth on the dancer's head. And then at the back, I like to glue these so that the beads don't spin as the dancer's dancing. You want it to be really still, so I just glue the back a little bit, and also it gets all the sharp pieces. In case you're doing any partnering work or anything like that, you want it to be smooth. Just give it a few seconds to dry, and then you can pull off all the little strings because it'll be kind of stringy after that. Let's put the tiara on the head. It's meant to go just below the hairline so that the crystal is visible. So you don't want to go too low or too high. You want to kind of have it right there on the hairline. And then there's plenty of places to pin, especially at the back of the hairpiece. You should be able to pin that in without hurting the dancer on that loop on the back. Put a couple of pins through, and then you can put a couple in here, and they should just go right in through those beads. Those small beads are good. Now, depending on what roll you're doing, you may want to do 2 here, and then several throughout, but that'll keep it secure for performance.